If you're like me and you take a trip or a vacation, you're always thinking, how am I going to catch some fish here? Sometimes, like in the case of this video, you go to a place where you don't fish very often, and also you end up having to target species that you don't really know how to catch or you haven't had a lot of experience catching. So I'm going to go through right now how I did when I went to OBX this year fishing for reds. So for full disclosure to those that are new to the channel, I have fished for reds before, actually 4 times, and they were in the Outer Banks last year. But in this case, the conditions were much different. The wind was blowing at about 20 miles per hour, and we had a tropical storm in this area just the week before, so everything was stirred up. There's grass all over. And in this case, I ended up catching this on a Slam Shady paddle tail lure. It's a Z-Man product. The color is Slam Shady. And I was tossing it on a 1/4 ounce jig head up into this seam at a point. And the seam is where the current, the fast current coming out of the creek meets the slower current that's on the back side of the wind protected sod bank that was in front of me there. 17.5. There's 2 dots there. So it comes in at 17.5 inches. Legal size to keep in North Carolina is 18 inches. I'm not going to keep it anyway, even if it were legal size. That's not what I was out there for. Just wanted to get out there, but nice start to the day. Only have a couple of hours to fish, so nice to get one in the boat. So I've got one caught, moved to another spot, still have that Slam Shady paddle tail on. And I move over to a flat, and it's because the water's clear. You can see that ray right there next to me, and it's about 1 foot to 1.5 feet here, so really shallow. But I moved up on the flats to take advantage of the areas that have these grass spots in between all the sand areas. And you can see that right here, out in the distance. It's the darker areas, and it's all sand in between. And what I'm doing is I'm working those by tossing the paddle tail along the edges, or bringing it right over top, and I'm trying to pull any fish that are hiding behind it on the down current side, which is where I am, and trying to get them to follow this paddle tail. And as you can see, it's really going to pay off for me. And it's so shallow and so clear, it's almost like fishing a topwater. You saw it right there. You can see the strike, I could see the fish following, and I hook into a decent sized redfish right here. And to me, this is one of the coolest things about a redfish. I mean, look at it right there. These things have so much power to them. You know, I'm going to try for an early net here because I want to let it go, and I don't want to tire it out too much, but it's just got a head of steam. And despite being in just about 1 foot of water, it's not going to come in until it's ready. It's just easily turned away. I had full pressure on that thing, so I'm just going to keep working this for a moment until I can finally get it to the point where I can swing it into the net, hopefully with a little energy still left. But just look at it plowing along. I mean, redfish are just awesome. Let's see if he's a keeper. Let's hope he is, because he swallowed that hook good. He's a keeper, 24.5. So as you just heard, I mean, you saw the strike. It was on a moving target, a moving lure, bringing that in, and it just took it, and it just, I mean, it engulfed it, swallowed it, took that whole Slam Shady in, and got caught way down deep. So at this point, I didn't want to keep it to start, but I'm pretty happy because I'm going to have redfish for dinner. They're just beautiful fish, and just so happy I was able to catch them. So as I mentioned, I went up on the flat, and that's this green area right in the middle here. To fish, and it's very shallow, and you know, according to Navionics, there's not even really any water to fish there, but I did it because of the conditions. Very high wind, over 20 miles per hour in my face, which is why I have most of the video muted so you can't hear the wind noise. But they're ambush feeders, so I have to look for the structure, and that's where I was using those grass patches in the middle of the flat and kind of working it in through there. So again, it was only about 1 foot to 1.5 foot of water, And you can see it here. This is that same flat, and look at that. I mean, there I'm right on the edge of one of those grass patches. They were all over the place, and I was getting the strikes in the sand right in between the edges of those grass patches. So that's what I was fishing, and that's what I did to get out of that really heavy grassy water from the storm. And for me, just super stoked that I was able to put a quality redfish on the deck in just a couple of hours. Quality for me being a guy from up north. So it was a great trip overall. So now that you've seen that, I have another video popping up on the screen that shows last year's trip down for reds with some more information on spots and locations. Check it out.